Welcome to Casual's Raid Act 3 Gate 3 guide video. This guide covers both difficulties. Ally skills are in the timestamp. Gate 3 is an ancient type, and he is weak to earth element but just by a little bit, which is 5%. So having 18 awakening of earth set is weaker than light salvation 30. 24 is when it becomes stronger. But I think it's okay to use 18 because damage reduction helps a lot during the prog. Also, you will not lack DPS with 18, so you can decide what you want to run. Battle items: Atropine or Time Stop, Dark Grenade, and 7 people take Sacred Charm, 1 person takes Corrosive Bomb. The boss is fixed in the center and has 500 HP bars. Over the time, when you reach to certain HP, he breaks the quarter of the field. This happens up to 3 times, so later when he has less HP, you will fight in a very small quarter field. Any patterns that knocks you out to the broken part can kill you by falling, but you do not fall even if you get pushed to the round side. Do not worry how to hit his back when the stage breaks. When you succeed counter on counter patterns or when he gets staggered from certain mech, then he shows destruction HP. If you put destruction skills, then the blue HP decreases, and when it reaches 0, he becomes omnidirectional. The amount of destruction needed is a lot, so throw the corrosive bomb, and all 8 players should prioritize on using destruction skills. Normally, you have to reveal his destruction HP for 3 times to destroy it by using Balfour, and that happens like on early 20% of the fight. When the raid starts, each 4 random players get red and blue electric charge marks above their characters. Whenever you get hit by certain patterns, gauge fills up. If it passes half, then the color reverses and you get the reversed color puddle for a few seconds. This puddle does dot damage to the opposite color players, so you should move away for a moment. If it reaches max gauge, then huge explosion tries to happen from the player. That player has to move far away from others since this does lethal damage. Under the boss's HP, you can see the player's color balance. If it gets imbalanced because of someone reaching over half gauge, then the players with majority color takes dot damage consistently. Even if it gets imbalanced, he regularly does a pattern that allows you to rebalance the color. He gathers his hands with red and blue color and spreads a pulse. At the same time, 1 person gets a white circle and some other players get lightning. The pulse does some damage and increases gauge, so spacebar through it. The white circle changes the color of that player and any other players in that range. So by looking at the number below the boss, players can improvise. For example, if it's 4 and 4, then 1 red and 1 blue just have to switch their color. If it's 6 and 2, then 2 of the majority colors swap their color. People who have lightning stay on the edge since it leaves a puddle after a few seconds. This puddle lasts for 2 minutes, and it does huge dot damage. It does around 100k without supporters care. So if you get knocked out to the puddle and have no spacebar, then that's pretty much a kill. He gathers his hands and pounds on the aggro 2 times. For the second hit, he can turn slightly since he chases the aggro. He pounds on the aggro and if someone's hit, then he shoots beam. He scratches the field with both hands and hits that side. Stay in between the hands or go out. The boss puts his hand and swipes to that direction, which grabs everyone in the path. If someone's grabbed, he pounds them front and back, which can hit other players in that area. The grab range is literally 180, so the exact backside is not safe. If you're already in the range, you can go out since he only grabs the inner side. He pounds the ground and grabs the front. If someone's grabbed, he requires a just guard, and others have to stagger him quick since he does a lot of damage to the grabbed players. Stay away from his arm range. He holds his hand and spreads twisters that shock you. Then he attacks the ground, which has 1 out of 3 random layers safe zone. Dodge the twisters and stay in the middle layer so that you can get to the safe spot easier. He embraces himself and lightning strikes from the outer side, then requires just guard. Stick to him and guard. Sometimes lightning can hit the inner side, so watch where you are. He holds his hands and turns, which does pizza attack. The safe zone is where his hands are before turning. He stretches both arms and does pizza pattern, which hits in sequence. At the same time, a line rotates, which shocks you. You have to save the spacebar for crossing the line. For the pizza, just dodge by walking. This time, let me cover the counter patterns that reveals his destruction. He turns red or blue and attacks the field, then requires a counter. Player who has the same color should do the counter. If an opposite color counters, then it triggers retaliation. Also, the lightnings shock the opposite color players if they get hit, but it does not hurt the same color players, so they can just walk to the front and counter. He puts his hands on the ground and spreads lightning, then requires a 2-man co-op counter. Just move to his front and co-op counter. He winds up for punch motion and requires a counter. If you do the counter, then immediately he requires another counter. This time, let me cover the Mech. At 475 bars, he pounds the field and summons lightnings that browse around. At the same time, he turns to random aggro and shoots beam. This happens 3 times, and the aggro changes every time. Stay away from his head when he locks in. The lightnings shock you. Also, a random player gets a cross mark which spreads lightning. This attack doesn't do that much damage to others, and it doesn't shock the players as well. This mark is given 3 times on random aggro. During this Mech, you can easily dodge and DPS by sticking to the inner side and moving to one direction. At 450 bars, he does a similar Mech, but this time with red and blue pizzas. You have to find your correct color by dodging the lightning. If you step on wrong color, it gives you a lot of gauge. Pizza comes out for 4 times, and yellow gets added from the 3rd one. Yellow just hits you whatever color you are. At 425 bars, Balfour's script appears. The field gets smaller, so gather to the place where it's shrinking to. Lot of orbs get fired from his hands. These orbs shock you, so dodge it. If someone's hit, then cleanse them. Stay at the edge of the circle. If you stick out, then you receive huge damage with lot of gauge. He aims beam to an aggro. When the telegraph fills up, then everyone walk to the safe zone. When the circle disappears, run away from the beam that chases you since it one-shots you. Dodge the attacks and take the correct color orbs since they generate puddles later. So the goal of this Mech is to run away from the beam and collect all the color orbs by dodging everything else. Also, there are 2 yellow orbs that rotate. They regularly shocks the players by connecting a line. Pass it right after it attacks. After taking all the color orbs, stroll around for a little bit time, then the Mech ends. Let me show the whole Mech one more time. During the Mech, he doesn't have damage reduction, so if you're a range class, then you can greed while dodging the attacks. When it gets close to the end, supporters can shield the party and stick to him to greed DPS. At 400 bars, he does the color pizza mech again, but this time, orbs connect the line regularly. Be in the safe zone by sticking to the inner side, and dodge the rotating orbs right after they are connected. At 375 bars, the first stage break mech happens. One person gets a cross mark. You can also see a mark above your mana. Some other players get puddles. You will see a giant orb in the field. The mark player should go there and direct his beam to the orb. Players who have puddles should go out since it does damage to others. The player who has aggro of telegraph from the orb should also move out. Others should stagger him down to around half. The boss and orb will shoot beam at the same time. After he destroys the orb, completely stagger him. If you fail the stagger, then it's a raid wipe. If you stagger too early before he shoots the orb, then the orb stays in the field permanently. It is invincible and regularly shoots beam that shocks the players. The raid becomes really hard to clear with this orb, so technically this is also a raid wipe. After the stagger, a cutscene happens. He tries to break a quarter side of field. The player who had a mark should move to that side to just guard. To know where he's trying to break in advance, there's a different orb marks in the minimap. Go to the side where there's only one orb. The marked player guard for 2 times when he tries to hammer. Whenever you succeed, you deal 2 billion damage. This whole moment is a huge DPS moment. Other players use their first atropine and full DPS. This is when the team starts rotating the dark grenades. When he wakes up, he will eventually destroy the quarter side of the field and goes to phase 2. He holds hammers. You want to fix his head to the center of the field since you can fall and die from now on when you get knocked out to the broken part. When you go to the edge, then you can interact by clicking G key to ride a wire which leads you to the other side. You can use this feature when you think you can't dodge the pattern. Keep in mind that it has 10 seconds cooldown. He can either hold 1 hammer or 2 hammers. Let me cover the single hammer patterns first. He hammers 2 times on the aggro, which generates a puddle. The second hit spreads lightning. The safe zone is sticking tight to his head. He holds his hammer upside down and hits the middle layer, then other side. Stick close to him, then move to the middle. He holds his hammer upside down with both hands. Pizza telegraphs aggro to random players and attacks 2 times. When the telegraph locks in, then move out and wait for the second hit. He holds his hammer upside down with one hand for a long time and smashes the field, which one-shots everyone in the hammer range, and the second explosion knocks you out. Just move far away from him. He holds his hammer with one hand showing either red or blue color, then strikes the field. The safe zone for the same color is inner side, and the opposite color is outer side. Make sure to not get hit by the hammer directly. He raises both hands high by showing color, and pizza appears. The center zone is always the same as his color, and the color alternates to the side. Players who have the same color as the boss sticks in the center and the opposite color stays right next to it. After the strike, the color stays for a few seconds, so stay where you are. If you touch the opposite color, then it does a lot of dot damage with gauge increase. This time, let me cover the 2 hammer patterns. When he changes to double hammer form, he splits his hammer into 2 and strikes one side. The safe zone is where he holds his hand. He holds his both hands high and stares at the aggro, then hammers with both hands. Just dodge to the side. Same as the previous pattern, he holds both hands high and stares at the aggro, but hammers with one hand, which hits 3 times. The safe zone is where he holds the hand. This attack leaves a puddle, which increases a lot of gauge. These two patterns alternate when it's used in short interval. He holds his hammers that show different colors, then strikes each field. Just go to where your color is. There are two patterns. 1. He puts the hammer on closer side, then claps it, and the inner side explodes. 2. He puts the hammer on farther side, then claps it, and the outer side explodes. If you get hit by in between the hammers, it one-shots you. He throws a hammer like a boomerang and claps it with the other hammer, which generates X range attack, then hits the side in cone range. Just stick to his head and you will dodge everything. He crosses his hammers, then attacks all the way to the backside and hits the outer side. Just stick to his head and you can dodge everything. He crosses his hammers and hits the front, which waves all the way back. Then he smashes the front. For the wave, stick to his head, then move out to dodge the second hit. He throws the hammers to an aggro which attacks in rectangle. It chases the aggro for 3 times. Then he shows a color. Same color should go inner side and opposite color should go outer side. This time, let me cover the mech. At 325 bars, he combines his hammers and stretches his arm. Stay away from the center. Dodge the blue telegraph which shocks you. Then move into the center to dodge the instant kill, and move out. Red and blue orbs appear in the field. Players should take the same color. If you leave them, then they turn into puddles, so you must clean them. This mech happens pretty fast, so keep tracking the HP. When it happens, the purple stagger bar gets locked. Move out, dodge the telegraph, then dash in. Then take the orbs that's same as your color. At 300 bars, he combines his hammers and starts charging for a wipe attack. He becomes counterable, but wait until the 3rd charge, then counter. If you counter before the 3rd one, then he pretty much wipes the raid, so lock your counter and DPS. Then counter when you see the perfect orb. At 275 bars, his script pops up and drops an anvil. Move out. Then he hammers the anvil for 3 times, which can be just guarded. You look at the anvil and guard the shockwave. The 3rd one hits slower than the 1st and 2nd, so watch his hammer carefully and press G key when he tries to swing. If even one person fails any guard, then he gets stunned, and the boss tries to clap him, which is an one-shot. This clap also generates shockwave, so others should cleanse that player and evacuate, then guard by looking at the hammer. If someone failed again, then he keeps on clapping. This can happen up to 3 times. During the prog, this mech can be a huge obstacle if there's a member who's bad at guarding. In that case, you can hyper awaken after the 1st guard to skip the rest. At 250 bars, the 2nd stage break happens. Just like the 1st one, the person who has the mark moves to the orb. People who have the puddles move out, and the rest of people stagger the boss down to half. When the boss tries to beam, the mark player dodges, and everyone finishes the stagger. This is the 2nd atropine timing. When he wakes up, he tries to destroy a quarter field on the right side. The marked player goes to that side. He hammers 3 times. 1st slow, 2nd and 3rd fast. He will destroy that field when he wakes up, and goes to phase 3. He puts away his hammers and does hand patterns just like in phase 1, but with some new patterns. Also, when you try to ride the wire by pressing G key, you have to press A key in the middle of the air. If not, you fall and die. During the prog, a lot of people die by forgetting this. You normally don't want to take the wire unless you're in an urgent state. There are 2 reasons. 1. If you take the wire when the boss is doing short pattern, then he tries to shoot you, which can rather kill other players who are also in the air. And 2. You can't dodge a certain pattern if your wire is in cooldown. Let me explain that pattern. This pattern happens like every 1 minute and 30 seconds. He shows a rectangle telegraph and shoots beam that chases an aggro. This beam one-shots you. Look where it's moving to and take the wire if it moves to your side. When your wire is in cooldown for this pattern, then you will pretty much die. Normally, he chases to where there are more players, so check where people are splitting to and go to the less side. Let me cover more patterns. This one is an existing pattern, but happens in a weird way, so you should know. When he does the double counter pattern, sometimes he turns to the edge where there's no one, so be prepared. He glows yellow and pulls back his hand and grabs the players who are close, then requires a counter. The timing for the counter is like 1 second after he repositions his arm. If you fail the counter, then the grabbed player will pretty much die. He pulls his arm and hits the other side. Be careful not to fall. He pounds his arm and pushes to that side. Stay on the other side. He charges with both hands and spreads pizza to the side. Stick to the head. If he shows a color by embracing himself, then the opposite color players should look away. Same color players are fine to look at him, but if the opposite color looks at him, he gets stunned and the boss follows up with beam. He gathers his fist and stomps the ground 2 times, then does a donut attack. Push immune the first attack and stay in the safe zone. At 200 bars, he surrounds the field. Red should go left and blue should go right. You get a large puddle. If it reaches the other color players, then it does a lot of damage to them. Red, blue, and yellow orbs try to reach the boss. Whenever the red or blue reach him, they provide shield to him. So players on each side should erase the opposite color with their puddles. Yellow shocks you and increase a lot of gauge. After erasing all the opposite colors, normally, red players take the wire to erase the orbs on the blue side. And the blue players walk to the red side to erase them as well. Or both sides can take the wire as long as they take it at the same time. During this mech, you can do full damage, so greed as long as you don't get hit by the yellow orbs. At 180 bars, just like in the previous mech, players get the color puddles. Red go to left and blue go to right. The boss does pizza pattern for 4 times. Unlike the previous mech, he doesn't surround the field, so no one has to take the wire. Red walks to the blue by sticking to the inner side, and blue walks to the red by sticking to the outer side. At 160 bars, he throws his hammers to the front. Watch the color of the hammer and go to the correct side. Then hammers fall on each side, and the boss requires stagger. The goal of this mech is to stagger him, but the stagger doesn't work unless both of the hammers get destroyed. These hammers have a lot of HP, so the leader uses Bastion by positioning in between the boss and the hammer, and pointing the pointer on the boss. Then he destroys the hammer on that side and also hits the boss. And then use +1 by pointing the pointer to the opposite hammer to destroy that hammer and hit the boss. Then stagger. You must use Bastion by standing in between the boss and the hammer, else the second cast will not reach the other side. The boss gets full damage during the whole mech, so when the mech starts, everyone else than the leader just full DPS. When you succeed a stagger, then 8 safe zones with red or blue colors appear. The color is not always balanced. The person who is the closest to the boss gets a white circle, which changes everyone's color in the range. By using this, you balance out the color, go to the safe zone, and live the wipe attack. Now the problem is, It's really easy to mess up this mech since you have to math it out in short given time. So you do a tactic called brain dead tactic. Starting from left top side to right bottom side, you designate the party numbers in sequence. Anyone whose color is same as their safe zone move out. For those who are different, stick to the boss so that they can take the circle and change the color. This perfectly matches the count in whatever cases. It's very important for the same color players to move far away since they should not get the circle nor get into the circle range. In the normal mode, there's only 2 safe zones, so whatever your color is, you're good to go. At 140 bars, he applies lightning to random people and does pizza pattern for 4 times. People who have lightning should move to the edge since it generates puddle. The 3rd or 4th pizza may not have any safe spots. In that case, you can take the wire, but you can also just get hit as long as you don't have lot of gauge since the pattern right after this mech can be aggro beam. At 120 bars, the 3rd stage break happens. After doing the things, marked players should go to the right side. This time, he does fast 2 hits, then 1 slow hit. Guard when he tries to swing. This is when you use the last atropine. The boss will eventually destroy the field and goes to phase 4. You will have only a quarter of field to fight. When you take the wire, you have to press A key 2 times in a row. His patterns come back to hammer patterns just like in phase 2, but with some new and enhanced patterns. Any pattern can just make you fall. You can push immune, or take wire, or use time stop, or use hyper awakening. Fortunately, most of the patterns can be lived by sticking to the center edge since the round part does not make you fall. Let me cover the additional patterns. There's no difference from phase 2, but it's a dangerous pattern. When he holds his hammer upside down, just move to the center edge or time stop or hyper awaken. He pulls back his hammer all the way like a baseball player, then kills all the players in the inner range by falling. Move out or push immune. There's no difference from phase 2, but happens frequently. When he changes to 2 hammers, normally you dodge to the strict edge where he raises his hand. But he can still hit that side if the boss's head indicator is not in the center, so you can push immune or move all the way out to the center edge. Remember the stare and 1 hit or 3 hits? Whichever it is, he just hits once in phase 4. Just like the previous pattern, you dodge to the edge of the hammer side, but if the head is tilted, then push immune or move to the center edge. In phase 2, you stick close to him, then get out. But in phase 4, he doesn't hammer at the end, so just stick close to the boss. In phase 2, if you stick to the head, you can dodge everything. But in phase 4, he additionally hits the front, which kills you by falling even if you stick close to the boss. Push immune or just move to the center edge. He crosses his arms and swipes, then hammers the front, which generates blade. Just stick close to the head and you can dodge everything. After he uses around 3 patterns from the start of phase 4, he combines his hammers and creates rectangle safe zone. If you go out, then you take insane amount of damage. Go to the side where it fits your color. Then dodge the side where he raises the hand. Then find your safe zone, which comes out like a chessboard. Then dodge the side where he raises the hand again. And then color pattern happens 2 times by alternating. At the end, he smashes the front in rectangle range, so move to the side. During this mech, the whole moment is DPSable. Also, random players get a white circle 2 times. This changes the color of players in the range, so players should check their color while DPSing. After around 4 patterns from this mech, he charges for a fake counter just like in phase 2. DPS by not using the counter skills, and on third charge, counter. After this pattern, if his HP is below 75 bars, then he does the last stage break Mech, do the things, and the marked player gets ready for the 3-time Just Guard. This is the special Balfour moment. You do the first and second, but fail the third one intentionally. When it fails, he does some damage, so everyone push immune. Then he tries to break the last field, which is supposed to be a raid wipe. But when the leader uses Balfour after he stretches his arms all the way up, then special Balfour triggers and reduces 20 HP bars. From the start of the Just Guard and all the way to here, the entire moment is free DPS time, so this should pretty much take him down to 0. If not, you have to deal with more patterns. When his HP reaches 0, that's the end of the raid for the normal mode. But for the hard mode, there's phase 5. After the cutscene, you will fight him with around 120 billion shield in 2-minute berserk time. You get your ally skill meter back, so check if you have 4 meters, and the leader uses Bastion and his +1 as well. Since his +1 does a lot of damage to the shield, he reduces around half of the shield by himself. So the party just have to take down rest of the half shield, and that will be the end of the entire raid. The patterns are easy, so when you came to this point with at least 5 to 6 people, it's clearable. At the start, he does Descaluda pattern for 4 times, just to dodge them by moving. Then he attacks the outer side and the chessboard. Then randomly aggroes a beam to the players for 3 times, which does insane amount of damage. Dodge it after it gets locked. Then 2 yellow growing circles rotate. When they are fully grown, they explode, so dodge them. A player gets a white circle. You will see the color of the boss. Players who have the opposite colors will take around 20,000 dot damage, so opposite colors should gather to white circle and change their color. This is the whole pattern. After this, he repeats from Descaluda. Also, you will see red or blue orbs reaching him. If players take the same color, then they get damage buff that can stack up to 5. If it reaches the boss, then he gets the damage buff. You don't really have to focus on getting them. Focus on DPS and the patterns first, then think about taking the orbs. Lastly, let me cover how to use the ally skills. Balfour's +3 does destruction and damage, and +1 does a lot of damage on staggered boss. Bastion's +3 does damage and reduces player's gauge. His +1 does a lot of damage on shield. Shandy's +3 and +1 does more damage than other 2 in normal cases. In phase 1, when you have 4 ally meters, use Balfour on the second or third counter to do a lot of destruction. The thing is, he wakes up really fast after the counter, so the leader should not do the counter and use Balfour right before the counter. Also, when it gets destroyed, the leader uses +1 right away. If the party DPS is fast, then you can use Balfour when the first stage break happens. He gets staggered for a long time during this mech, so you can eventually destroy him with Balfour and he becomes omnidirectional. If the party doesn't have any back attackers, then use Bastion +3 and +1 for the gauge reduction. For the second one, check how much ally meter you have. Around the second stage break, if you have 5, then use Bastion +3 and +1. If you have 4, then just use his +3. If you have 3 or less, then keep it. This is because you must keep 4 meters for the next ally skill. For the third one, leader should stay in between the boss and his hammer and use Bastion +3 by pointing the pointer to him, which destroys one side of hammer. Then point the pointer to the opposite hammer and use +1, then it destroys that hammer as well. So everyone else can just DPS from the start and ignore the hammers. For the fourth one, you're going to use Special Balfour on 4th stage break. Succeed the first and second Just Guard, and fail the third one. Then use Balfour when he completely stretches his arms up. 5th one is only for the hard mode. On the last phase, you get some ally meter back. You use the last ally skill as Bastion's +3 and +1. You must use the +1 since that's what does a lot of damage to the shield. So the leader should not make mistake of using it when it's less than 4 meters. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching and good luck on your runs. Stay Giga Chid. Spam noted.